Make a Path presents Let's Talk.
The Walking Dead Q&A 25. Chad Jacqua. If you could spend one day with a Walking Dead actor, actress, who would it be and why? Wow. Ha! That is a good question. Oh man, if I could only pick one. If it was real, you know what I mean? Because if it's fake, I'll just say, hey, Rick, because, he's my favorite. That's why. But if I had the actual choice, should I pick Lauren and then try to seduce her, get her to fall in love with me, and then I always have like a way in on set? Is that evil? That is evil, isn't it? You know what? If I can spend one day, I would love to be able to do it with everyone on the cast. Everyone. I would go ahead and just pick Rick. Andrew Lincoln, I would spend one day with him. Although, you know what? Because I would love to chill with Norman Reedus for a day. I've been a fan of Norman Reedus since 1999. So it would be friggin' awesome to just chill with him. Plus, he's a cool dude. A friend of mine met him at a bar in Vegas before The Walking Dead. And I was so jealous. This is before The Walking Dead, so there's no one around. And they were able to talk with him a little bit, and they got pictures outside the bar. Like, it was friggin' awesome hearing that story. I would have loved to be there. Damn, it's a toss-up. Norman, because I've been such a fan for that long, of a time period. And I would also want to do something other than just hanging out. You know what I mean? I would want to do some kind of video, some kind of documentary thing. I would want to sit down and interview. This way, I'm not only just meeting the individual, but this way, it's not just a thing where, I'm the only one getting something out of it. You know what I'm saying? I would try to do something where I can take a video from this. Maybe we could spend a whole day and we can go over how his life was. Like one huge biographical interview. You know what I mean? I think that would be friggin' awesome. Because he's into art, too. He's into photography. I mean, I would love to just sit down and collab on a project, even if it was only a day. You know what I mean? Film it, squeeze a lot in, and then that way I would have one kick-ass video for the this channel at least. So yeah, I'm cheating. I'm picking one or the other. Whoever says yes first, Norman Reedus or Andrew Lincoln. Oh, I see. Kryptonite, but it's spelled Kryptonite. What are your thoughts on Maggie not taking Glenn's last name, being that her character comes from a traditional country upbringing? It seems out of character for Maggie to not have taken Glenn's name. Hey, you know what? It's the apocalypse. I doubt there's even official paperwork where it would matter. You know what I'm saying? So she's had that name her whole life. Her family's wiped out. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's the apocalypse. Her family's gone. You know what I'm saying? She's the last sole surviving Green family member. So obviously, no disrespect to Glenn, you know what I mean, his last name, but she's carrying on the Green legacy. And I get that. I understand that completely. You know what I mean? And I don't think Glenn's mad about that. Tiger Bison. Do you think Carol and Rick will start a relationship like Rick did with Andrea in the comics? Also, do you think they will have Carl die instead of Judith? You know what? I'm going to give Carl dying a 50-50. I have my reasons, we won't get into it. Carl dying and bringing up a story with Judith, I think it can be done. You're going to have to switch a lot around, but I think you can make that work. However, no. Carol and Rick would not have a relationship. They don't have that chemistry. You know what I mean? They don't share that chemistry at all. And that's not saying anything bad against either one of those. Not the actors themselves. I'm talking the characters. They don't have that kind of chemistry. Elliot. Dude spells his name with E-H-L-E-E-U-H-T. So when you read them in three separate blocks, it reads Elliot. Is that from E.T.? Elliot. Since they are covering some things they skipped over from the comics, for example, Wilshire Estates, do you think they will do other things that they have skipped over? Personally, I would love to see Michonne's arc that took place with the governor torturing and yada yada yada, and then her getting brutal revenge. Obviously, now it would have to be a different villain, but not Negan. You know what? No. There's certain things I don't mind going back to. Wilshire Estates, for example, because it's not... it doesn't matter. But when you talk about going back to, Michonne's arc with the governor, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just see that as the governor has to be there. It has to be him. You know what I'm saying? I don't see her just getting beat and getting tortured and whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that as like a separate thing. When I look at that, when I hear that, when I talk about that, I see the governor doing that to her. So if that happens with a different villain, it would just feel like, why didn't you just do it with the governor? You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you just adapt that right the first time? You know? So, no, I don't think they will do big storylines like that. They might do it in little ways, you know. Michonne could run up with a savior, you know, that breaks the rules and does something like that, and then Negan punishes that savior. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might do it in little ways, but not in a major way. Brian Veldran. Do you think Rick is still seeing things, but they don't show us for a reason? And because of Beth's death, do you think the survivors will change? And if so, how will they change? Well, thanks for the compliments. Yeah, obviously all the survivors are impacted by some things. You know what I mean? I don't think the change is going to be, wow, I don't recognize that character anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be a shitty thing. You know, I think it's going to weigh on the shoulders. They're going to be down, you know, in the gutter with it. But I guarantee you in, you know, next season, they might bring it up. It might come up in conversation. It might come up here and there. But you're not going to see Daryl, like, kicking rocks because he's still upset Beth is dead. This is affecting him now. Things are going to happen that's going to distract him, going to get his attention. And he's going to have to handle those current issues. So Maggie, I think it's the one that's going to affect the most, obviously. She lost her sister. No, I don't think Rick is seeing things anymore. I think that was just shock for the moment, you know what I mean? And now the moment has passed. Sean Little, what do you think about Christopher Maloney, Law and Order, for Negan? Fuck. Or Patrick Warburton? Hey, you know what? They look like Negan, but I don't think they have the chops for it, to be honest with you. There's only so much range that people have. You know what I mean? You could be a great actor, a fabulous actor, but to have the look and that flexibility with your acting talents, it's two different things. And that's why I'm so glad us fans do not cast for the show. Because all we do is Google images, find a picture that looks like Negan, and say that guy should be the new Negan. Fuck. Man, you gotta bring cast in. You gotta look at their show reel, or showcase. Look at all the projects they did in the past. You gotta find out that they have the acting tools needed to be able to pull off those scenes. You know? The hardest scenes for Negan, the actor who plays Negan, the hardest scenes he's gonna have to pull off are the ones where Negan is like jolly like a Santa Claus. He's laughing, making jokes, whatever. It's easy to play those soft, pissed, I'm gonna kill you, you're dead. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the hardest part is going to be where Negan is being loud. You know what I mean? And not one actor that I've seen so far, besides John Hamm, and I hate to keep bringing him up because I'll accept an unknown that pulls it off. I have no problems with that. I'm not saying John Hamm is the only one to do it. I'm saying that when I looked at John Hamm's other projects in the past, look at him on Mad Men. You know, he can have that calmness, that confidence. He can walk into the room and you're like, that's somebody to notice. You know, that is the leader. He has that suave look. He has Negan's look. You know what I'm saying? But then watch him on an SNL skit. Like, watch him act out and see his acting flexibility. You know what I mean? With his acting talents. He could be that loud, crazy, fun, you know, because that's what Negan's doing. He's having fun. You know what I'm saying? The CSI guy, he could probably pull it off, but when I look at him, I see like a polished soap opera, because the CSI to me is like, it's like a polished soap opera. It really is. Yeah, it's hard to explain. There's certain shows that have like that feel to it, you know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's like a soap opera that's just a little bit more realistic. That's what those shows remind me of. I don't know. I give up on casting Negan. Because I sound like a dick every time. Because somebody's like, Henry Rollins. I'm like, no. Somebody's like, Patrick Warburton. No. This guy, no. This guy, no. I will say this. For us fans who are picking who should play Negan, I will say this. No disrespect. But if you have just looked at a picture and said, hey, that guy looks like Negan, and I know he's an actor because he's in this show and this movie, he should play Negan. Just for a moment, step back and just think, like, clearly. If millions of dollars ride on this, if it was that important to get it right, would you just pick a face that looked like him off Google? You know what I mean? Maybe you even saw him do one or two things on the CSI. Wouldn't you want to sit back, look at all his acting ranges? You know what I mean? Because actors have ranges. Some actors cannot, like Henry Rollins. Man, he can play, look at Sons of Anarchy. He can play a dick. You know what I'm saying? He can't play Negan because he wouldn't be able to do convincing when he's caring for Carl, when he upsets Carl in the comic. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are scenes I don't believe he would be able to pull off convincingly. It's, no, I don't know. I'm moving on. I fried my brain on the Negan. Negan is... Negan has fried my brain already, and he hasn't even made it into the show yet. Garrett Monahan. What job do you think each person will be assigned once they get to Alexandria? Oh, geez. I have no idea, bro. Because it's not going to be like the comic. You know what I mean? They're going to expand that job. They're going to expand those jobs more. You know what I'm saying? A lot more. They're going to flesh it out a lot more. In the comic, if you don't see a character, it's no big deal. You know what I'm saying? You're not thinking about where they are. On TV, you're seeing these characters, and you see them in the backgrounds, they're doing things, where are they, but why? It's just, you need to flesh it out a lot more for TV. And there's a lot more going on. Like I noticed in a sneak peek photo of Alexandria, there is like a pond or something in the middle of Alexandria. That wasn't in the comic, but it makes perfect sense. If you were going to have a center like this, designed by the government for natural disasters, you would want to have some kind of water supply close. And here it seems to be right in the middle of the town. And I think that's genius. You know what I mean? So there could be a ton of different jobs that we wouldn't even think about. Especially ones that weren't even in the comics. You know what I'm saying? Because in the comics it was simply, construction crew, you are a sniper, you're a cop, and then you're, a runner. That's pretty much what it was. But here, they're probably going to have the construction crew out getting supplies. They have the building crew. They have some crew doing maintenance around the buildings. They have some crew that's inspecting the perimeters and stuff. Like, there's just a million different jobs you can do. Yeah, I really don't know off the top of my head what jobs they would be taking. Sorry. Long Fletch. Do you think in the future walkers will wipe out all the slower moving food animals, causing starving problems for the living? Yeah, I think that's very possible. I mean, especially with animals. A lot of them can smell that coming. And they'll probably be, getting the hell out of here. As far as, like, the slower moving animals, I don't think it would be as big of a problem killing them all off as it would be hurting them away. You know what I mean? Because animals will flee if they feel like they're in danger. They'll leave. They're not going to just sit around. So if you have like mega herds especially, I think the animals would leave. You know what I mean? Because the zombie's not sneaking up on the cattle. The cattle probably smell them, see them, and get the hell out of there, Lily Lovebug. Do you think anyone from the hospital will join Rick's group? Also, I friggin' love your channel. Ha! Well, here, Lily Lovebug, I am responding. Thank you so much for the, thanks a ton for the support and appreciation. I absolutely love all the kind words that you guys throw at me every single day. Every single day. You guys are throwing something at me that's just the sweetest thing in the world. Do I think anyone from the hospital will join? No, not at all. Besides, we have enough characters coming from Alexandria to add or tack somebody on from the hospital would probably just be pointless to do. They'd probably be dying soon enough. Besides, they could keep the characters at the hospital. Who knows? 2 seasons from now, you could probably have maybe that girl, Shepard or whatever, show up at Alexandria's gates and accidentally find a place. Who knows? Whatever. You can have... You know what? Rick could actually go back once they were at Alexandria. He could go back for season 6 to Atlanta, although it'd be kind of risky just to save these guys who... Are they even worth it? But he could go back and say, listen, we found this community. Do you guys want to come with us? You know what I mean? That's possible. If I was in Rick's shoes, I'd say screw him. You know what I mean? He gave them a chance to leave when, with them before. So, screw him. Expert Legend. What is your favorite video game? The Last of Us. Billy Tran, do you think Beth's actions to stab Dawn would be different if Maggie was with Rick's group at the hospital? Yeah, probably. Probably. The Brand Mines. If Daryl was in the comic, would he still be alive? Oh, absolutely. Expert Legend, how do you think Season 6 will start out? Well, I'm hoping Season 6 starts out with Rick killing Pete. Like I said before, I'm hoping Season 6 starts out with Rick seeing Ron with a black eye. He goes up to Pete, and I know everyone's predicting that's going to happen at the end of Season 5, and it could, and that would be fine, whatever, but I'm kind of hoping that we would see the family get to know them by the end of 5. 6 is when we start and we're like, oh, things are not as nice as when we let off. We let off and it was like, maybe they're going to make this home. Season 6 starts out and Rick sees a kid with a black eye. He wants to go and whatever, and you guys know from the comic what's going to happen. And then Rick kills him, and that's the end of the Season 6 premiere. I'd be happy with that.
Subscribe now.